We're going to be recording in sports mode, so you're going to turn the little wheel to the little icon of the person running, and we need to take a burst of photos. So you're going to set it up so that your high-speed continuous shoot, and then you're going to take a picture, a sequence of pictures of a person walking. You need about 8 pictures of a person just walking across the room from left to right or right to left. Then you're going to go into Photoshop. You're going to upload those photos to your computer. You're going to do File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. You're going to click Browse. You're going to find those files on your computer. Hopefully you've put them in a folder. And you're going to click on the first one, click on the Shift key, and click on the last one. And then you're going to bring them all in, but then you got to do it again. Click on the top one, hold the Shift key, and click on the bottom one, and then hit OK. And they will come in a stack into one single file, which is what you want. They'll be all lined up. You don't have to do that manually. It saves you a lot of time. So let's look at the File menu, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I click Window, and then click on Layers, and you can see in the layer menu all the different photos there of the person walking across the floor. You're going to go to the top photo, and you're going to do Select Subject. If it doesn't select it 100% properly, you can use the Quick Select tool on the left, and you can add to or subtract from the selection. So let me show you how I do that with his sneakers. Parts of his sneakers are missing, so I'm adding to the selection. Trying to get it just right. All right, and then I'm going to actually refine the selection and subtract some extra pixels. Once I have it exactly how I want it, I'm going to do, so you can add to the number of pixels or subtract, and you can refine how many pixels you are selecting. And then I'm going to do Select Inverse, and then I'm going to just hit the Delete key on my keyboard, and that'll delete the background. Then I'm going to hide that layer, and I'm going to do the same thing for each subsequent layer. Just I have to deselect the previous selection, and then I'm going to do again Select Subject. And then modify that selection if anything is messed up. There is an easier way to do this, especially if there's a lot of distracting shapes in the background and you're having trouble isolating the figure. So for instance, when he gets in front of the bookshelf, there's a lot of crap in the background. So what he's going to do is we're going to switch to what's called the Object Selection tool. So if I press on the Quick Select tool on the left, you're going to see one of the choices is the Object Selection tool. So I'm going to use that. So how the Object Selection tool works is you just hover the mouse over the object you want to select, and it will select it. In this case, it selected too much, and I'm going to need to go back to the Quick Select tool, and I'm going to subtract from my selection. So, but it was a little bit more exact and precise than using the Quick Select tool to use the Object Selection tool. So if it ends up adjusting too many pixels, I'm going to try that again. I'm going to reselect it. I tried to deselect the extra, and it ended up deselecting the pants because they're so close in color to the background. So I'm going to go back to the Object Selection tool. I'm going to select it, and this time when I go back to the Quick Select tool, I'm going to modify the number of pixels. So I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to actually click on it, and it's only going to modify it by about 8 pixels. So I'm going to have a much more precise tool for deleting the extra pixels. So let's go back in there, and now it deletes the extra pixels without deleting the pants. Select inverse and then delete using the delete key on your keyboard. So lather, rinse, repeat. I'm just going to do this with all the images. Now I should have eight. There are 8 steps to a walk cycle, so I just need 8 photos. So now I'm unhiding them, and now I'm going to hide all of them except the bottom layer. Yeah, I'm going to hide all of them except the bottom layer, and I'm going to pull the bottom layer into the middle of the document, unhide the next to the bottom layer, and I'll line up the heads. It's much easier to line up the heads than it is the feet because the feet will always be in a different position. So I'm going to unhide them one by one, and I'm going to line them up so they're stacked right on top of each other. Once they're all stacked, I can actually change the layer style, and then I'm going to go for a color overlay, and I'm going to change that color to black. So each layer is going to have a color overlay of black. This will be very important later. I'll just lather, rinse, repeat each one. Layer styles, color overlay black. And then you hide the next layer and you go to the next one. So by the time you're done, each one of them has that color layer, the color overlay. So I'm just going to rush through it right now. You get the idea. You just repeat it until each one has a black silhouette instead of a detailed person. Okay. Now the next step is I'm going to go up to Windows and I'm going to expose the timeline. Now, I do not want a video. I want a frame animation. So I'm going to change it to frame animation, and I'm going to click in the middle of the words, create frame animation. And then if you look on the right, those 3 lines, you click on that, and I'm going to click make frames from layers. Okay? And then the next step is I'm going to click on, it looks like he's walking backwards. So I'm going to click on those 3 lines again, and I will click reverse frames so that he's not walking backwards. Okay? And now I'm going to look at it, and there's a few little problems with it. I'm just going to play it. I'm going to change the timing so he's not walking as fast, and let's look. And you can see there's a little bit of extra selected on one of his legs. That must have been where he was in front of the bookcase and it was selecting the black in the background. So I just sort of have to go through the frames one by one to see which one is messed up. Yeah. Looks like the frames aren't quite lined up right either. So let me expose the layers, and okay, I'm going to crop it. So I just draw a box around it, image crop, and then I'm going to resize it. Image size, and I'm going to make the person about 3 inches tall. So the height is going to be like 3 or 4 inches. And then I'm going to make the resolution 300. Okay. So I've resized the document. So the images will still line up because the whole thing was resized together. And now I'm going to do File, Export, Layers to Files. But the type of file that I want to export has to be a PNG because I need the transparent background. So I click on PNG. PNGs can have transparent backgrounds. So I'll click on PNG, and I'm going to then click Run. It's asking me to select a destination, so I'm going to click Browse. I'm going to name the folder, and I think I'm going to put it in the same folder as my original photographs, but I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll just call it so I'm going to just put them all together in their own folder. So it's exporting all of them as PNGs. Every part of the layer is a PNG. So now I'm going to do the whole thing again. File, Scripts, load files into Stack. Browse. There's the folder I just created. Click on the first one, hold the Shift key, click on the last one. And then click on the top one, hold the Shift key, click on the bottom one. They're not going to come in all lined up with each other. Name it Walk Cycle Stack. Create frame animation, create frames with layers, create frames from layers. Looks like he's walking backwards, so we're going to fix that by reversing the frames. Now I'm going to look through them frame by frame to make sure they're all okay. Okay, and there I see that file's messed up. So I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to go to the eraser. Let's go to Window. layers, click on the layer that's visible, and I'm going to take the eraser and fix that leg. And let's see how it looks now. Pretty good. So you may want to just take an eraser and clean up any extraneous pixels. And when you're satisfied with the final result, you're going to name it Walk Cycle Stack. You are not going to export the file. You need all the layers. It has to be a Photoshop file. Do not export it. And that's that. That's the entire lesson.